So this afternoon is about our parents updating us with their stories and things like that. And first of all, I've got Carolyn and Robin, who's going to tell us all about Ellie.
Thank you very much.
Show.
Once I get my notes up. Hi everybody, it's been a fantastic morning. It's really good to see you all here as well. My name's Carolyn, I'm Ellie's mum. So just a wee update for you, because I think I know, well, most of you actually, but for information anyway. Ellie is 20, so her date of birth is the 8th of May, she was born in 2003. She was diagnosed with trisomy 18 mosaicism. We couldn't find that out until she was 15 months old. So I had no indication when I was pregnant, apart from the fact that everybody told me, oh, you're going to have a big baby, because I was like, huge. Out came this little tiny 4 pound 5 ounce baby. So the hugeness was mostly amniocentesis fluid, or whatever you got, amnio fluid. So we got our diagnosis, as I say, at 15 months old. That date will never ever leave my mind, ever. And very quickly we found out that we were sort of like told that we were, I said this earlier, for those that weren't here, that we were basically given the diagnosis, but it was by what the guy described himself as he was a paediatrician, but he described himself as a jobbing general paediatric doctor. And he gave us an excerpt from a medical textbook that told us we were going to have a child with this diagnosis, and we were told we didn't know how long she was going to live. And that was it. That was all the information that they had at that point. Panic set in. Straight away, off to Google. What's the worst thing you can do? Is Google things. And that then set in a whole load of panic for us. So when we got the information, I also found out there was soft, but it was classed as, and Demi will probably keep me right here, Karen Schuler.
Karen Schuler, yeah.
So it was the trisomy serve or something like that. Well before the days of all the stuff that exists on the internet now. We were then directed to Unique, who then put us in touch with Soft UK, who have been absolutely fantastic. But Ellie's diagnosis, basically, and her chromosomal abnormality, if you want to call it that, meant she had small stature. She's got learning disabilities. So Ellie, although she's chronologically 20 years old, she has a learning disability, which means she's about developmentally about 5-6 year old. She has some mobility issues as well. So she has an inward rotated hip, which means she's got an in-toed gait on her left side. Is it hemihypertrophy, which means that she's got one side is bigger than the other. When she was roughly about 13 years old, she had an operation to correct the leg length difference, which meant that she was, basically took a little bit of skin from underneath her kneecap, scraped away the growing cells on her bigger leg, which meant that it halted the growth on that leg to allow her right leg to keep up. Because before that she used to wear an adapted shoe, which meant she had proper balance. Prior to that, because of the imbalance on her sides, then she had a curvature of the spine. So she was seen by a scoliosis surgeon, Mr. Sirikos, who I think some of you have heard of. Yeah. And I remember you, Charles, saying that before, a fantastic guy. Absolutely.
Is he still on the go?
As far as I'm aware, yeah. But we were lucky enough to have been discharged from that service, which is brilliant. But what a lovely, lovely man.
Oh, great.
And the orthopaedic guy that saw Ellie was very sort of specific in the way that he said that, oh, she needs to be a certain age, not so much chronologically, but in the way that she was growing before he would do that procedure as well. We've been very fortunate with the procedures that we've had. So yeah, what else do I need to say about Ellie in terms of the impact of her diagnosis? She wears hearing aids in both ears. That's really important because I didn't realise, I think like everybody that doesn't realise, you just think it's going to help you hear. What you don't realise until you get to know that is it helps them to understand as well. It's the comprehension as well as the physical hearing, and that was super important. So it's really, really good because it's helping her not just comprehend and hear, but it's helping promote the speech as well. So it's fantastic, from all points of view. So what else do I need to say? Oh, she's also got, everything with Ellie seems to be in her left side. So I mentioned the hemihypertrophy. So she's also got a squint in her left eye, goes inwards, so she wears glasses, and she hates to have her glasses off. Whereas when we first tried to get her to wear glasses, but now she's like, as soon as you take them off to clean them or whatever, straight away, boom, they go on, so that's great. Ellie started preschool and she was on what we call a split placement. So what I mean by a split placement is she was taken into like some form of special needs education. Alongside that it was also the normal, I hate saying that, mainstream, thank you, side of things. So that actually started really early, so it was preschool. That then transitioned quite neatly, thankfully, into primary, and that worked really, really well. She would spend 2 days in her mainstream schooling, but she would spend 3 days, the other 3 days of the week, in her special needs school, and that worked fantastically. The special needs school that she went to in primary, she then stayed at and transitioned into secondary education as well. Absolutely brilliant school, so great with her. They brought her on in so many ways, so many life skills that she learned. We knew very quickly that Ellie would never really lean towards the academic side of things. We needed to hone her skills in terms of what do you need to do with cooking, cleaning, crossing the road safely, taking bus travel, etc. So all of those things were dealt with really well by the special needs school. In terms for medical procedures, I spoke obviously about the leg length difference and Mr. Sirikos with the curvature of the spine. She has had numerous appointments with audiology in terms of, as I said, the hearing aids and so on, so that's working really well for her. She had her adenoids removed. I think that really helped as well with the hearing side of things, and she had a massive fear of and phobia of dentists, so we ended up at the point of monthly appointments with the dentist to get her to overcome. And I've still got photographs that pop up on my phone every now and again of her leaning over the dentist and actually helping the dentist to look at her teeth. Never mind Ellie's teeth, the dentist's teeth. So that was great. In terms of socialisation, it was very difficult for Ellie because although we lived surrounded by quite a lot of houses and there was loads of kids around, because she went to the special needs school, it was out with the area that we lived in, so socialisation wasn't easy for Ellie. So we wanted to get her to make pals and intertwine with people. So we ended up with her going to several social clubs, and the ones that we did do with her were all geared towards children and young adults with special needs. So it was drama and mime, which she absolutely loves because she loves music, she loves acting out. Everybody's had a cuddle from Ellie, Swimming, she's attended 2 swimming clubs. She swims competitively. I swim like a brick. And I have never told her that I'm absolutely terrified of water because I would dream of telling her that, because then that would maybe transfer the fear onto her. But she's absolutely fantastic, and I don't say that as a pushy kind of parent. I'm just a very proud parent. I think she's amazing. And the other thing that she's done is she's done horse riding with RDA, which she absolutely loves. And I'm now going to hand you over to my lovely Mr. Robin to tell you about the rest of it.
Right, thank you for that.
It's all right.
I'm Ellie's dad, Robin. So, yeah, we thought it was quite important just to give a bit of background to Ellie and how she started off, so to speak. And I'm just intending to cover the last few years and just bring you up to date with where she is now, and how things are moving forward. And I'm sure Carolyn will keep me right if I get things wrong. But anyway. So, I guess, I mean, she made her way through the kind of secondary school at the Pinewood Special Needs, which was great. She loved school actually, and you know, things were going along reasonably well as could be expected, I guess. But unfortunately, Carolyn and I separated in April 2018, and that was a major impact in our situation, and Ellie as well, obviously. And that kind of meant that Ellie was then living with me full time after that for health reasons. So at that stage Ellie was 14, 15, coming on 15, and heading towards leaving school fairly soon, and transitioning and all that sort of thing. And then of course COVID comes along in 2020, and that was a major factor as well. And Ellie's heading rapidly towards the end of school, and she's missing half the school as well, you know, so and what's going to happen after she leaves school. And that's quite an interesting thing actually, because the education system is very clear that once you're 18, that's it, you're out of school, you know, kicked out basically. It's like dropping off a cliff edge. There's no transition whatsoever, really, you know. You'll say there is, but there isn't, you know, the shutter comes down and that's it. So this gradually looming up, you know, and someone sorts it out, and we're speaking to the head teacher and all that sort of thing, and various people are coming in to kind of talk to you about things, and you know, we'll eventually get a few things cobbled together, and she ends up at a college course part-time to get her going, and a charity called New Directions as well, to give her something to do as well. And at the same stage we decided to go ahead and go for guardianship, formal legal guardianship of Ellie. Bear in mind she's coming up for 18 and about to move into adult services. At the time we weren't that sure about whether it was the right thing to do or not, but in hindsight it definitely was. So we took forward the formal legal guardianship, welfare and financial. That took about 6 months to get through that. Another good thing that in hindsight that was done when I was about 17, I think it was senior paediatrician Dr. Jill Yates it was, yeah, came and did a full kind of paediatric assessment on Ellie and her capabilities, home visits and everything, and documented it. It was about 3 sides of paper, basically just setting out who Ellie was, what her background was, and her physical capabilities and her mental capabilities, and it brought out as well that basically Ellie's got a mental age of about 5.5, And at the time you're wondering, well, why are we getting this, But in hindsight it was a really good document to have, because it was used so many times to engage with professionals and social services, example, and people like that. So we're trying to explain, where you were with things and how you need to move forward. And here you are, have a read of that, and we can do this, this and this. And the guardianship thing was quite important as well, I think. So anyway, so Ellie left school and she's at college and everything. And bearing in mind our situation, and neither of us have much in the way of no family left really, basically, and Carolyn's not much either, so we hadn't an awful lot of family support around. We'd always been aware and of the mind that Ellie would need to move out on her own at some stage, really. I'm 64 and everything, you don't know what's around the corner and everything. And we just weren't sure about the timing of it and how to go about it and all that sort of thing. And discussions with social work were interesting over a couple of years at least. And they kept saying, oh, we could have that option, we could have this option, or we'll put Ellie in a waiting list and we'll review her every now and again, and if something suitable comes up, we'll let you know, type thing, So I got the impression fairly soon that this really wasn't going anywhere, and it was just a case of a waiting list and that's it, And they sent me a list of places, you know, basically 2 or 3 kind of different kinds of care, if you want to call it that, we were looking at. And one was potentially assisted living in a home environment with 1 or 2 others, and just steadily bigger type institutions or other types of institution. And they sent us a big list of all the institutions right throughout the country that could potentially take Ellie. And as soon as you start making inquiries, which you weren't really supposed to do, you're supposed to do social work, as soon as you start making inquiries, you find all these places are full, no spaces available, anything. So anyway, life's going on and whatever, and eventually we decided to take it more into our own hands and actually start engaging with some various people, looking around to see what was available, knocking on the door, so to speak, go to visit them and talk to them. And meanwhile, we found out there was nothing available in West Lothian at all, absolutely nothing. And so we're building something, you know, we've got this and this coming on stream in a year and a half's time. And it's okay, well, could I potentially put Ellie's name down on the waiting list for it? Well, the waiting list is already taken, you know. That's a year and a half before it even opens, if it did open in a year and a half's time. So we started looking around and we visited a few places, and we came across Deanston up at Doon, and we have about 20 residents there, and went to speak to the manager and had a look round. And I think we were kind of lucky to a certain extent in that they had a place available which they weren't publicising. It was kind of down to COVID at the time they had this place available, but because COVID was running off, so to speak, it was only available for a fairly limited period of time. So we kind of took this forward, social work, and I think they were a bit kind of flabbergasted that we'd managed to find something, you know, and it wasn't really what they wanted to hear from us, but anyway, so we took it forward, and you know, it took about 6, 8, 9 months or whatever, but we got to a situation where we managed to get Ellie into Deanston, and I think it's the right thing for her, basically. We didn't feel she was ready to actually live in a single house with 1 or 2 others, you know, effectively having 24/7 care. We just thought that doesn't seem very robust and wasn't really what Ellie was looking for, really. And bearing in mind that Ellie's an only child and there's not much now family support around, and we were really looking for something where there was more sociability around, even adults and fellas, people in a similar situation. And Deanston kind of filled ticked the box as far as that was concerned. It's about 20 in the unit, and it gets good reports and everything. And she's 6 months in there now, and it's not, I can't say it's been easy, but she seems to have settled down fine, and you know, gets lots of activities, and we see her regularly as well, and take her away occasionally and whatever. And so the kind of shared care, if you want to call it that, is working well so far, and I think it's good investment for the future for Ellie. We're hoping at some stage that she'll maybe be able to move on and live more on her own in a different type of situation as time goes on. But at least, yeah, if it's right, at least at Doon, it's not far from Stirling, good communication links, nice little town, nice unit she's in. It's a good start point, I think, you know, and hopefully that can support her the next wee while, as will we, and help her move on and enjoy everything she can do. Yeah. So that's kind of it, though, we are. So just, if anybody wants to ask any questions or whatever,
What was the hardest and what was the easiest bits for you?
In terms of what, just Ellie in general, or?
I would say probably emotionally. What was the hardest for you and what was the easiest for you, or what are you most glad about?
Hardest for me emotionally was I felt like my heart had been ripped out of my chest when she moved. Because I was saying earlier when I was out with some of the girls that I didn't expect it to happen so quickly. I know we're very fortunate, but everything has its upsides, its downsides and whatever, so boom, it was like so difficult. The best thing is the fact, again, I think I mentioned this when I was out earlier, when you phone out, she's constantly on the phone to you on WhatsApp video or whatever, people come into a room and you can hear the kindness that they talk to her. I can tell, because everybody can put on an act. If you come to visit, oh, mum and dad are coming to visit, better be on her best behaviour. It's not like that at all. You can tell there's genuine affection for her, so feel really, really comforted by that as well. I think the hardest part was getting the diagnosis and then what on earth do we do? You know, where is this going to take us? And I'm a control freak, so I need to know how long that piece of string is. And nobody was telling me, nobody was giving me that answer, and I'm sorry, I'm speaking to the people that already know that, but it's really difficult.
Even 20 years on though with mosaicism, there's still not, and there's, because everybody is so different with mosaicism, there still isn't there still isn't how long's a bit of string,
absolutely. It's really interesting you saying that, because when we got our chromosomal analysis results back, 88% of our blood cells were trisomic. Doesn't mean anything.
No, it doesn't.
It means nothing.
No,
in fact, I think a skin test would be more accurate, but it means nothing because it fluctuates so much.
I was going to say, sometimes you see on the mosaic groups, folks saying, oh, we had her tested at 5 and it was this, and then we had her tested at 10 and it was this.
And it was
well, it tested at 15 and it was totally different. So it doesn't seem to be an indicator.
It's like we spoke earlier, you have to take the individual, you know, you really have.
That's hard to do when you've got a little one. It's easier now with Ellie because you know Ellie and you know what Ellie needs and that kind of stuff. But when they're little, you don't know because you haven't had them long enough to know, have you?
And they can't articulate them. She still doesn't maybe articulate herself that well, but as you say, given the 20 years that we've had her, we now know the signs or what to look out for.
She's not well upset.
Exactly.
Is there anything that Ellie struggled with, you think, when she moved Carolyn, or did she adapt quite easily?
She's quite territorial. That's an only child thing. So when we came in to visit her, was it the first or second time, I can't remember, one of the very early times we came to visit her, our wardrobe was all sealed up with all these stickers. So that the girl next door couldn't get into them. Like the girl next door is going to even be interested in what Ellie's got in her wardrobe. Maybe she was, but so I think from that point of view, is there anything else that I don't think we found it incredibly difficult.
The communication thing is important, and I've got to say Carolyn was really good at handling that with Ellie. You know, that's and yeah, Ellie was good with it actually. You know. It was difficult for us at the time, obviously, but how's this going to go? But she was, and like Carolyn says, the territorial thing was interesting.
Did you get a lot of visits and stuff before she actually moved?
Yeah, there were.
So it's quite a good transition from the service.
Yeah, there's pictorials and things like that, and you know, all sorts of things. You know, so, and took Ellie up a couple of times as well. And
visits to your house, with me obviously involved as well. So
they kind of gear it to what they think. Or what you think Ellie needs, you know.
Well, it was actually interesting because Robin was saying, when he was speaking earlier, that there was one room left, and because of the COVID it hadn't been filled, but actually what they were looking for, they were actually, again, you can take this how you want, because we did, but there was that room waiting for somebody like Ellie. So then they decided that Ellie was the right person now.
But they have to have a fit, because if you don't have a fit,
that's the thing, because you have to think about the other residents.
It's so important, and it only takes one person who is forced on them in an emergency situation that doesn't fit. The whole house just
goes into the uproar.
The waiting list thing is interesting, because there's a few places that they just don't have a waiting list anymore.